do have a Def Leppard cover coming out. You're covering Hysteria.
Yes.
Now, I'm a pretty solid Def Leppard fan, you know. Pour Some Sugar on Me, classic. Obviously, I'm a bigger fan of Photograph. But why Hysteria? It's a great song, but out of all the songs from the cover, why Hysteria?
That is a great question, Will. So Hysteria has a really special meaning to me. And this is a little bit of a long story. Do you mind if I tell it?
Floor's yours.
Awesome. Okay. So I got married last year. This sounds like it's not related at all, but it is. I got married last year to a guy named Bradley. He's my husband now. We're still together. I feel like I wouldn't be telling this story if we weren't, but we met through a dating app. And when I met Brad, everything lined up. You know, when you're swiping on dating apps and you're like looking for the things that you're looking for, everything on his profile lined up. But there was kind of just like that aspect of like, okay, do I swipe right or not? And so I looked through his photos, and when I was looking through the photos, the second one that popped up was him holding a cover of the single Women by Def Leppard, which is off the Hysteria album. It's a single cover for that, but it said Def Leppard on the front of it. And as soon as I saw that, I was like, oh my gosh, swiping right immediately. Yes. And so we connected over rock music. We connected over like heavy metal. He is the biggest music fanatic I know. I'm sitting in our bedroom right now, and we've got like Def Leppard memorabilia all over. These are his cassettes behind me. And for him personally, he has always, always, always loved 80s rock, 80s metal, any kind of music from any generation. He's obsessed. And he has what is known as idiopathic reading epilepsy, it's a form of myoclonic epilepsy. It's a little bit complicated, but basically he was diagnosed in high school after he had 2 grand mal seizures, and it's triggered by reading. So he in high school was basically like, he was bedbound. You know, he was stuck at home, and all he could do was sit in a dark room. He couldn't read because that triggered his seizures. He couldn't watch anything. He couldn't be on a phone. All he could do was listen to music. And so that was like what really deepened his love for rock music. That was the music that was there for him in kind of his darkest time. And Hysteria specifically, Def Leppard is his mom's favorite band. And Hysteria as a song was just always there for him. Like, it started by accident. It started just kind of accidentally being played during the most significant moments of his life. Like, it would come on his iPod on the first day of high school, or it would be played during a graduation party, or it would be played like in the car on the way to breaking up with someone, or, you know, it started by accident, and then he started playing it on purpose. So Hysteria, that song for him, it's his favorite song of all time. It's been played at every graduation he's had. It's been played at all the most significant moments of his life. And it was there for him in his darkest time when he was struggling in his battle with epilepsy. And so when we were, the most exciting part of planning our wedding for me was choosing all the music, because my mom was a wedding coordinator. So we planned everything. The wedding was wonderful, but I knew like there are key songs that you get to choose for a wedding. I'm also a wedding singer. So, you know, whenever we get our set list for the weddings that I sing for, it's always like first dances, the exit song, the grand entrance song, things like that. So I was like stoked to choose our music. And when it came to the song for the first dance, I was like, there's no other perfect song. Like, we can't not do Hysteria. And then when I was talking with my mom about it, I was telling her how difficult it is, and was at the time, to find a good acoustic version of it. There are a lot of acoustic versions out there, but there weren't any that were like perfect for what we needed, because they were all like just a little bit too fast, or they weren't the right feeling of song, or, you know, the pitch was off, or the recording was bad, or they were way too long, or there was something, you know, there was always something about these recordings. And so she said, why don't you record your own? And at that moment I was like, duh, why didn't I think of this sooner? And everybody had been asking me, if I was going to sing at my wedding, which to me didn't sound like a good time because stage fright and anxiety. Like, I don't know that the best day of my life is the day that I want to be like freaking out about whether the microphone's on or not. I don't want to.
Yeah, that's a good point. You got enough when you play right there, enough stress. You got, the whole wedding. I've had 3 weddings this year. I've done one of them. I know how stressful it is. So yeah, I'm not even the one getting married. So yeah, singing at your own wedding, that's a big no for me.
Yeah, and I know a lot of people do it. Like we've all seen the videos of people like singing at their own wedding. I just went to a friend's wedding back in March where she and her husband are both musicians, and they like wrote a song for each other and played it during the reception. I thought it was beautiful.
That's cute.
Yeah, I thought it was really cool.
That's really cute.
But also really not for me. And so what I decided to do was I decided to tell my husband that we would be using this YouTube recording. And that was what we practiced our first dance to. He thought that we were going to be using this YouTube rendition of it from just a YouTuber. And then I went up to work with my friends, Jeremy and Brandon, and they helped me arrange this track. They came up with the track for me, and then I recorded this. And so on the day of, when it started out, you've heard the track, right?
Yes.
Okay, so it starts out with that just like acoustic. It starts out with that, which is the same way the cover from YouTube started out, and then I come in with the vocals, and so we started playing it. We start dancing. He's just like, "Oh man, this is the most perfect day. Everything's wonderful. Couldn't be more perfect." And then I start singing, and he pulled back for a second and he looked at me and he was like, "No way." And he was like, "You're kidding. No way. Like, how? When did you do this? How did you do this?" And I just laughed, and we got the whole thing on video, and everyone knew about it too. The best part was that everyone knew about it. So the videographer knew like to get the angle of his face reacting to it. And he told me afterwards, he said, "This is the best gift anyone's ever given me." And it was such a special moment. And honestly, like, out of the moments in your life that you remember multiple times, out of those special moments in your life that you're remembering for the rest of your life, that one's it's one of mine. And I know it's one of his too. It was so meaningful to us and meaningful to him too, because when he was like, and he's told me, we've talked about this so many times. He's told me like, when I was just like laying in a dark room, dealing with my body, like shaking and not having control over my brain and not having control over my body, I never thought that like years later, I would be dancing to this song by my wife, like being sung by my wife, and actually being able to dance and actually being able to be around people and function normally. Like, it was just this full circle moment that was so huge for both of us.